Today, we're making jerky.
Oh yeah!
Hi, I'm Brian.
I'm Derica, and you're watching City Steading. To learn to grow and brew, and to take control of your food. Hit subscribe now, and check the other links you can find in the description below, the things you may find useful.
By popular request, we're making beef jerky. Now, I've never actually made beef jerky before. Shocking, I'm sure, but Derica's not a huge fan, and we just don't really do it. But anyway, I've done a lot of research and come up with a recipe that...
And for Christmas,
Oh yeah.
we got a hydrator.
Dehydrator.
Dehydrator.
Yeah, hydrator would be something different.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. So, what you're going to need for my recipe is, I'm using top round. This actually said London broil on it. It's a top round roast. It's nice and thin. I had it in the freezer for about an hour, so it got nice and solid. Makes it easier to cut.
There you go. I was going to say, why did you do that? But he said.
You're going to want Worcestershire sauce. I'm pretty sure that's how you say that. It's not Worcestershire, it's Worcestershire. Some red pepper flake. Anything that you like is fine. This is actually a really good one. We got it at the Asian market. Okay. I'm using tamari, but soy sauce. Same thing. Okay. Somebody's going to tell me they're not the same thing. I know they're not the same thing. I like tamari better.
Tamari is the gluten-free version of soy sauce.
It's also stronger.
We were introduced to tamari when we thought Brian was gluten intolerant.
Yep.
He's not gluten intolerant. He suffers from leaky gut. Completely different discussion.
Well, not so much anymore, but sort of, yeah. Anyway, oregano, dried. Ginger, dried. Garlic powder, dried. Okay? That's basically it. The gist is you cut the beef up into small strips, you marinate it for like a day, and then you dehydrate it. We're going to show you all those steps. First, I want to talk about the meat a little bit. So this has been slightly frozen, as evidenced by the thing sticking to it here. And if you look, this is pretty lean. You want a lean cut, because fat, while it adds flavor to steaks and things like that, in jerky makes it go rancid faster because it doesn't fully dry out properly. So I just want to trim off a little bit of this extra fat here that we don't really want in our jerky. Helps to have a super sharp knife.
If you have a dull knife and you're interested in learning how to sharpen your knife, Brian made a video.
We actually did a video on that. I'm trying not to waste any of the meat if possible. You always get a little bit coming off when you do this. Just kind of shaving the edge here. Again, you don't want a lot of marbling. I actually looked through several of the London broils to find one that was going to be easy to cut and didn't have a lot of fat. So, you know, be kind of picky when you're doing this. After all, you're paying for all that meat. You don't want to throw away half of it just because. And, you know, if you get one that's too fatty, use it for actual broiling. So I'm just going to slice this little bit off the end here, and I think this piece is pretty well set. I can get totally crazy on it and do a lot more, but I'm not going to. Now, I chose this one because I like the length, okay, and then I can cut this way. So what you want to do is cut against the grain, and you want to do 1/8-inch strips. Notice how easily I can cut that because of the partial freezing process. And I'm just going to keep putting those to the side. You probably won't see me do all of this. Now you want to keep your cuts as consistent as possible. That makes for more consistent drying. And while you want to go thin, you don't want to go too thin, because then it just turns into like beef bark, and that's not good. You want it to still have a little bit of chew when it's dried. You know, that's what makes jerky jerky. Not really sure why they call it jerky. There's probably a name for it, like a reason, a story. Oh, I want to say something too. Just because we have a dehydrator, and that's the method I'm going to show, doesn't mean you can't do this in your oven. Instead of using a dehydrator, you just put your oven to like 175 or 180 degrees Fahrenheit. I'd have to look up the Celsius, so it'll probably be a little bubble below me. And that way you can do it in your oven. A lot of people swear by that method. Some people say it's even better than the dehydrator. But I got a new toy and I want to play with it. Now, You might be tempted to turn this and cut the other way. You don't want to do that. Resist that urge. What you want to do is cut across the grain, because if you go with the grain, when you try chewing that, you're chewing on long pieces of muscle. By cutting against the grain, you have shorter pieces of muscle held together by a little bit of connective tissue, and they should just kind of fall apart as you chew them. So now that I have all this cut up, we're going to put the marinade in the bag, and then we'll add in the meat. So I'm going to use the zip top bag. I'm putting it in a container to make it a little easier for containment. And I'm going to use the tamari first. Now you notice I don't have any measuring implements out here. Here's why. It's not that critical. You just put some in to taste, okay? I'm going to put in a good splash of tamari. I'm going to put in about half that much Worcestershire, okay? Maybe a fourth that much. Yeah, half. There we go. Then, that's your basic marinade, okay? And what a marinade does is it's acids that get into the meat, and it starts to break down the cell walls, and they exchange liquids, and it flavors everything, basically, okay? This isn't for preserving or anything like that. The drying is what does the preserving. You can actually make jerky just by taking meat and drying it. I can't guarantee that it'll taste very good, but it'll work, and it will preserve it to some extent. Garlic powder. I'm going to put in about that much. Ground ginger. I just like ground ginger for this. Gives a little earthy heat. Maybe a quarter teaspoon. Oregano. We like oregano. Just gives a nice flavor to it that we like. There is no thyme in this one.
Nor is there black pepper.
Oh.
But there is this pepper.
I could put black pepper in it if you want.
That's fine.
No, I think I want to put black pepper.
Okay.
I'm putting in, it's going to be kind of spicy, I think. Good teaspoon, maybe. I meant to get the black pepper earlier. Wasn't leaving it out on purpose. A couple good grinds. 20, 30, 50. We're kind of like Emerald with garlic. Bam!
Bam!
Anyway, so once you get that in there, we want to seal it up a little bit with some air in it and mix that together. Notice there's no salt. You don't need it because the tamari is full of salt. Sodium, I should say. We just want to make sure there's no big clumps of anything.
There's still powder.
Derek is the clump police.
It's
All
so
right.
sweet.
It's
Here.
good.
Here.
I'm going to massage this anyway once it's in there.
Well, I'm just trying to get that one dry spot with powder.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. Now she's going to hold that open. And I'm going to drop the meat in. Ever so carefully. If I didn't mention it, ours was about a 2-pound roast. I gotta wash my hands. Be right back. So now you have it in there. Leave a little air just for the moment so that you can kind of mush this all around and get everything coated. This is key. You want everything coated. Now, could I have used a lot more marinade? Yeah, but that's kind of wasteful. To me, I mean, why waste it? So I'm just gonna move it all around. If you have kids, tell them it's a toy. You know, have them do it. Again, if cats had opposable thumbs. But that's the secret. If you can see it. See, it's all pretty well, make sure they're all separated. It's all pretty well homogeneous in there. Now, I have heard anywhere from 1 hour to 48 hours for marinating. I don't know about the 1 hour. I don't think that's good enough. I think 48 hours might be just a bit much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go probably about 24 hours. But at this point, see, there's all this air in here. So what I'm going to do is push it in and then pack it all down and then seal it up. That way I have as little air as possible in there. Air doesn't add flavor, okay? Air dries things out. I'm going to put this into a plastic container to avoid spillage. This is going to go in the fridge for about a day, 24 hours or so. When it comes out, we'll see you then. This has been marinating since yesterday for about 24 hours. It's funny, is in here it looks like a solid block of meat again. But anyway, So that's our marinade. What I'm going to do now is get it out of the marinade, and I'm going to use a crap ton of paper towels because I want to dry this off, right? So what I'm going to do is just lay down a bunch of sheets of paper towels, and we'll start pulling the meat out, putting it on there, and drying it. Now, some people rinse it, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to rinse it. I know you don't really want the marinade that's left, and you want it to be patted dry when it goes in. So I'm just going to use my hands. Oh, this is disgusting. Smells really awesome though.
It does smell good.
It smells really amazing. So if this is any indication of what it's going to taste like, I think we're going to be pretty happy. We did get the dehydrator out this morning and tested it out, burned it in, the whole thing, and it seems like it's going to work just fine. So you're probably not going to see the rest of this. So now we got all the meat out, and I'm just kind of pressing it with paper towels to dry it a little. We don't really, I don't want to go too crazy, but the more wet it is when it goes in, I would imagine the longer the drying time. And, why do that? So I'm just giving it a little press. And just to my completely untrained eye, it looks pretty dry. Without, truly pressing out the liquids and such. Okay, so I'm going to go grab some trays so we can start stacking this up and get it ready to go in the dehydrator. Okay, we're going to get organized here. So basically, these are the trays for my dehydrator. If you don't have a dehydrator, it's totally okay. If you have any kind of a grated tray that you can put on top of a cookie sheet, you can use your oven. If you don't have that, it's a little more complicated, but you can still do it. What you want to do is lay these out very carefully on a tray so that nothing's touching, same as I'm going to do here. But you're going to want to flip them like every hour or so. Otherwise, they won't really become jerky. They'll just kind of get chewy. And it's not going to work quite as well, but it does still do the job. So ideally, you want a dehydrator, or you want the open trays kind of idea like we have here. If you're going to put it in your oven, you want to put your oven to the lowest setting it can go to. Preferably 150 would be great, but most ovens don't go that low. So you're looking at like 175 probably on most ovens. I think ours goes to 170, and you're going to do that for about 5 hours. It takes a long time.
I have linked the dehydrator that we're using in our store. I will look to see if I can find any sheets like this to use in the oven.
Another note about the dehydrator we have. Ours has like 9 trays or something in it. It's huge. It's actually really, really big. They make different versions of it that have smaller sizes. So, if cost is a factor, you can do that, because I'm probably only going to use 4 or 5 trays for this whole thing, so I don't need all 9.
Is it easier when it's flat?
It's easier when it's flat. Your depth perception kind of goes away when you're looking through trays like this. Is going too close to the side a bad thing? Did you notice?
Well, it does.
Okay, then we don't want to go too close to the edge. Yeah, this is the first time really using this thing, so. And first time making jerky, as we said. So, it's a lot of experimentation for us, but that way you guys get to make fun of us as we screw things up. I know somebody out there is shaking their head going, Bri, you are just killing me with this. And it's okay. Because you know what? No matter what I do, I'm making a mistake somewhere, and it's all good. This is called learning. But we want to get into doing like more preserved meats and salamis and stuff like that. So this is kind of like step 1, learning a little bit about this.
And it's a cool thing that Brian brought up about our particular dehydrator is that it does have a drying rack for
like hanging salamis and things like that. So I can dry sausages and that sort of thing. It doesn't really cure them that way, but it is another method of doing things. What I'm doing, if you notice, as I lay these on, is I am making sure they're not too close to this edge, they're not too close to each other. Don't make them touch each other, is really the general rule of thumb. And I'm just trying to spread them out, thin them as much as I can. They're more or less consistent sizes, so that made it easier. And I just don't want them touching, because then they kind of steam and bake rather than dry, and that's not good. I think I estimated correctly with 4 trays though.
He's also kind of doing the jerky Tetris here.
Oh, yeah.
So if he has a long piece, he's going to alternate that other side with a short piece so that they fit and don't touch.
Yeah. And this will be the last tray. Now if you're wondering how long this takes, in my dehydrator, everything that I've read, at 158 degrees, this should take about 5 hours. But because I'm me, and I'm a little paranoid, I'm going to start checking it at 4 hours. So when I check one, we'll show you.
Do you want those little pieces or no?
No, I don't think that's a good idea.
Okay.
So all those are going in there. We're going to start that thing up, and I'll see you in about 4 hours. So here we are after about 4 hours, and what you want to do is, at this point, I wanted to test it. So I'm going to grab a piece. They kind of stick to the mat, and you want to flex it. It should be flexible. It should bend, okay? I can feel it already. It's kind of not as leathery as I might want it to be, but I'm going to break this in half. It's still a little more meaty, so it still has some time to go. You're going to try it. We're not sure if Derek has ever had jerky before, so this ought to be interesting. It's chewy. It still probably needs another hour or two. The flavor is incredible though. It's actually really good. So I'm going to stick this back in the dehydrator. Probably go another hour and a half, maybe 2. And we'll get back to you then. What do you think?
Pretty cool.
You kind of like it, huh?
Oh.
Awesome. I'll be making more jerky in the future then. Okay. So it's been another hour and 15 minutes or so. Okay, it's time to try another piece of jerky. Now right off the bat, it's still flexible. Oh yeah, it's still very flexible. But it's not, oh yeah, it's tearing rather than, oh, it's perfect I think. Go ahead and taste that, Ben. It's a lot chewier. That's exactly right. Considering this was my first try at jerky, this is probably the best beef jerky I've ever had. You can probably say the same thing. But it came out great. The flavor is fantastic. Pretty basic recipe. I'm sure you can adjust it any way you want. I'm a little surprised that the red pepper flake didn't do anything. I may have only had like a 3/4 of a teaspoon in there. I probably should have put a lot more. There's almost no spice to it whatsoever. But the Worcestershire and the soy really just, they're wonderful in this. Just really awesome. So I'm going to be making a lot more of this. And as the recipe changes, I might even do more videos on it. You approve?
We're probably going to do the thing that I've started to do with wine. I'll go to a store and I'll see a wine and I'll check out its tasting notes, and then we'll come home and
We make it.
we make it. So I'll probably do that with jerky. I'll look at different jerky packages and go, oh, this one's got whatever flavor combination, and then try to replicate it at home.
This is awesome. This came out great. It's super easy. And like I said, if you don't have a dehydrator, it's fine. You could have done it in the oven at 175. Same idea. Just gonna take like 5, 6. Well, on the oven maybe 4 to 5 hours. So somewhere around 3.5. You might want to check it. That's it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Make sure to give us a like. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to the channel. And if you really like what we're doing, become a patron. You know, it's a couple dollars a month can actually make a huge difference in what we can do for you. The more we have available to us to work with, the more we can do back. Yeah. You probably see this little strap hanging. Sorry, that's the B camera that I didn't need for this video. And I didn't move it. But anyway, that's all we got. So thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
So it occurred to me that we forgot to tell you how to store this. Basically, what you want to do is once you take your racks out and you get your jerky, you you want to put them into a container. Plastic is good, glass is good. Essentially, you want it to have some air, not like a plastic bag where it can actually keep water and moisture up next to it. You want this to stay dry. And how long will it last? Everything that I read online says just a few weeks, okay? But I know that if jerky is kept properly, it should last much longer than that.
It should last as long as Brian doesn't eat it all.
That's the real test of how long it'll last. I'm just putting these all in. Not a bad yield for one 3-pound roast that I think it cost us like $8. So I don't know what jerky really costs to buy it in a store, but probably more than that for the amount that we got. Now make sure that I want to.
Alright, so we're gonna...
Now this is a totally sealable lid, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna jam that on in there. Jam it in there. What? You were gonna say something?
No, it's okay.
There we go. Hermetically sealed. What?
Something.
Now that's all we got. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you want to learn to grow and brew and take control of your food, hit the subscribe icon down below, and don't forget to hit that little bell. That way you get notified of everything we do. And if you really like what we do, consider becoming a patron. Information in the descriptions of all of our videos. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Don't turn it off. No. 'Cause we gotta do the bloopers. Blooper, bloopers.
Did you just do the bloopers?
I might have just done the bloopers.
I can't think of what to do. We also need...
We have to do the... Are we gonna do the Lady and the Tramp? We should have had a long piece. I don't know if that's good for a thumbnail.
Why not?
Because our faces are gonna be too close.
Oh.
But I don't want to ruin another piece.